Hello, you all know me. My name is Michael Parsh. I'm here today to introduce to you our second attempt at a youth leader and associate youth leader safety training video. We have borrowed some material from Scouts Canada to help guide us in the conversation surrounding child and youth safety, different types of bullying, etc. So what we're hoping is that everyone watches these videos and goes through the questions and answers throughout and gets a better understanding and allows us to provide a much safer environment for all the youth in the program. So without anything further, let's get started. But before we begin, I want to say a couple things. First of all, this material is fairly serious, and we want to take it and understand it and discuss it in a serious manner, but let's keep it lighthearted. Secondly, you're going to hear a lot of references to Scouts Canada, to Scouts. You can replace those words with OUC youth and youth. We've borrowed from Scouts Canada, and as a result, they use those words a lot, and you're just going to have to substitute. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Plan for safety. For safety, plan. Our tools can help you deliver a program that will keep everyone safe from emotional and physical harm. But you need to plan for safety. This can be done through a plan, do, review approach. Plan, do, review needs to be continually conducted, not just once, but all the time. Just because something did not happen this time does not mean it won't ever happen or something else won't happen. Becoming complacent in our approach and review increases the risk for accidents and errors. It is the skill acquired and required that prevents harm and damage. Experience will only help you identify the risk and hazard factors more quickly. To read more about Plan, Do, Review, click here. In many of the activities we offer, we provide challenges that seek to encourage the development of well-rounded individuals, better prepared for success in the world. These are often ones that they do not face every day, and they can experience a great sense of achievement in completing them. Some degree of risk is unavoidable if the sense of adventure and excitement is to be achieved, but it is and should be much less than the youth perceive. There is no need to avoid these adventurous activities. We need to provide excitement, not danger. There is a clear distinction between perceived risk and actual danger. To minimize the danger, we need to assess and control the risks associated with the activities in order to minimize the chance of injury. Preamble to Bullying and Abuse. As part of Scouts Canada's uncompromising commitment to build and maintain a culture of physical and emotional safety, specific training has been developed on the various types of abuse and how you can prevent, identify, intervene, and report abuse and bullying. Remember, keeping youth safe is not just about preventing abuse. It is about providing a safe environment during all of your activities, whether you're at a meeting place, visiting a fire hall, doing a highway cleanup, or exploring Canada's backcountry. Precautions need to be taken to ensure that youth are kept safe from harm at all times. As Scouters, we have an incredible responsibility to protect our youth members. We cannot emphasize enough the care and diligence that needs to be exercised in this capacity. Nothing is more important to us than ensuring the health and safety of our members. If we aren't doing everything we possibly can, we aren't doing enough. To read more about Scouts Canada's bullying policies, click here. Types of bullying and abuse. Abuse can take the form of 1. Bullying. 2. Cyberbullying. 3. Physical abuse. 4. Emotional abuse. 5. Neglect. 6. Sexual abuse. 7. Exploitation. Child abuse and bullying is maltreatment in different forms, resulting in actual or potential harm to a child in a context of a relationship of responsibility, trust, or power. It is possible to suffer from more than one type of abuse at a time. Abuse can take place anywhere where youth spend time in person or in a virtual environment like cyberspace. Definitions of different forms of abuse. There are various definitions of what constitutes abuse. In this training, we have adapted the definitions used by the World Health Organization, WHO, and the Child Protection Toolkit, a joint world association of the Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, WAGs, and the World Organization of the Scout Movement, WASM, resource produced by the respective European regions. These definitions of abuse only give a brief introduction to the issue. If you suspect that a young person is being abused, you do not need to categorize. You just need to react and act in the right way. Click on the buttons below to read definitions of different forms of abuse. Bullying. Bullying is when deliberate negative actions or behavior towards a person is repeated over a period of time. Some examples are name-calling or teasing, boasting about money or other possessions, forcing people to do demeaning things, deliberately ignoring particular people. Bullying often describes a form of harassment committed by an abuser who is in a physically or socially superior position. When bullying is allowed to continue for a period of time, it can become difficult to stop. To an outsider, bullying can often be invisible or look like an act of normal playing. Bullying, however, innocent as it seems, can have a very negative psychological impact on the victim. Physical abuse. Physical abuse is deliberately causing physical injuries or harm to a young person. It is also when you're not doing something to prevent physical abuse that you know is taking place. Examples include hitting, shaking, pushing, pinching, burning, or biting. Other examples are giving a child or young person poisonous substances, inappropriate drugs, or alcohol. Increasingly, countries are adopting laws banning physical punishment and the act of beating children. Emotional abuse. Emotional abuse occurs when children are not provided with the necessary environment to develop mentally, emotionally, socially, morally, or spiritually in the society they live in. When someone through his or her actions, words, or behavior harms a young person's emotional state and damages his/her self-esteem, this constitutes emotional abuse. There are examples of actions that can lead to emotional abuse. When adults are constantly threatening, scaring, teasing, or being very critical, they can make children and youth feel uncared for. Emotional abuse usually occurs when one person wants power and control over another person. This can affect people of any age or gender. Neglect. Neglect occurs when an adult who has agreed to take care of a young person fails to meet the child's basic needs. This includes things such as failure to provide adequate food, clothing, safe living conditions, education, and medical care in the context of available resources. Leaving children who are too young to look after themselves, alone or without proper supervision, is also an example of neglect. In the scouting context, neglect can be avoided by ensuring a proper risk assessment before any scout activity and by seeking consent from parents and guardians before the activity. Effective safety measures to overcome risks must be taken into consideration. Sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse is when a child is involved in a sexual activity that he or she does not understand or is forced into. This activity is with an adult or another child who is either older or more powerful. It can also be a situation where the person is dependent upon the perpetrator. Sexual abuse of children implies that the person infringes on the integrity of the child for the satisfaction of his/her own or someone else's sexual needs. The reason could also be money. This includes child prostitution and the use of children in pornographic performances and materials. Exploitation. Commercial or other exploitation of a child is when a child is used in labor work or other activities for the benefit of others, child labor. Activities that are negative for the health, education, or development of the child constitute such exploitation. This includes, but is not limited to, child labor, child soldiers, and child prostitution. Mandatory reporting of child abuse and bullying. Reporting abuse is a legal requirement in Canada. Many jurisdictions also have a legal requirement to report bullying. Anyone involved in scouting must report to local authorities any good faith suspicion or belief that any child is or has been physically or sexually abused, physically or emotionally neglected, exposed to any form of violence or threat, exposed to any form of sexual exploitation, including the possession, manufacture, or distribution of child pornography, online solicitation, enticement, or showing of obscene material. You may not abdicate this reporting responsibility to any other person. Notify your council executive director of this report, or of any violation of Scouts Canada's safety policies on child protection, bullying, harassment, drug and alcohol, and screening, so that he or she may take appropriate action for the safety of our Scouts, make appropriate notifications, and follow up with investigating agencies. Scouts Canada continually seeks to increase awareness of this societal problem and to create even greater barriers to abuse than already exist today in scouting to provide the most secure and safe environment possible for its youth members. Legal obligation to report. Although it is morally and ethically correct to report abuse, there is also a legal obligation to report. When any member or parent contacts a member of Scouts Canada with a complaint of abuse or neglect against a member, or if the police contact Scouts Canada to inform us of allegations or charges against a current member, there are steps that should be taken immediately. To learn more about each step, start by clicking on number 1. 1. Advise the person that you are required to and will report the occurrence to the appropriate child protection authority, and in circumstances involving physical or sexual abuse, police, as well as the Scouts Canada Council Executive Director. No judgment statement should be made about the alleged abuser, nor should you show alarm or anger. 2. Remove the child from any further danger if warranted. 3. Advise the person they will hear further directly from the Child Protection Authority, or police. 4. Advise the child or parent that all information will be kept confidential and will only be provided to those who require it for the protection of all involved. 5. Contact the Child Protection Authority and, in circumstances involving physical or sexual abuse, police and your council executive director immediately following the discussion. 6. As soon as possible, write a more detailed report of your discussion regarding alleged or suspected abuse or neglect, i.e., who, what, when, where. Give your written statement to your council executive director as soon as possible as per compliance procedure. Do not investigate further. This is the duty of child protection authorities or police. Different situations. Abuse may occur in a number of different situations and in a number of different ways. At home, during Scout activities, in school, and/or on the Internet. Leaders should also be aware that abuse might occur between adults and Scouts, Scouts and Scouts, adults and other adults. Exercise. Do you recognize the situation? Here are examples of situations that can take place during Scout activities. Match the situations on the right side with what kind of abuse you consider it to be on the left side. Drag the green boxes and drop them on the appropriate gray boxes to the right. Then click Submit to continue. A leader tells a Scout that he is stupid and useless. The leader does this in front of the other Scouts. A Scout is tied to a flagpole with his arms tied behind his back, and a scarf is tied around his face to cover his vision. A group of Scouts repeatedly tease and exclude another teenager. A leader touches a Scout inappropriately and tells her that she is very attractive. A leader firmly tells a Scout, after his fight with a younger Scout, that he will not be allowed to continue the activity today. A leader tells you and other Scout leaders are running an activity with your Scouts in a camp. It is required that the Scouts work in teams patrols to find clues which will help them solve the team challenge prepared for them. This day has been hectic, and the Scouts are keen to finish the activity early to be able to make final preparations for the big campfire later in the evening. One of the teams, comprising of 16 to 17-year-olds, seems to show good interest both in your instructions and the challenge activity in itself. Everyone looks excited in the team, except for one participant, John, who looks younger than the others and seems unhappy about something. He sits slightly apart from the others, not really being part of the team and not paying a lot of attention to what is being said. At the end of the introduction, everyone else, except John, starts walking away to start the activity, and you say to the others, "Are you not going to include John in finding the clues? Everyone from the team is needed to complete the challenge." Benjamin, the team leader, says, "Nah, leave him alone. We do this better without him. He doesn't know anything, and he is the weakest link in our team." The others nod in silence, and they carry on. Exercise. You are very surprised by the answer from the team and wonder how to handle the situation. What do you do? Select the best response from the options to the right to continue. A. Insist that the team needs to include John in all their activities and move on to the other teams. B. Insist with John that he joins the team and tell him not to worry about the rude things being said by Benjamin, that he will learn how to cope with such things. C. Insist that the team needs to include John in all their activities, and go over to John and ask him to join the team. You make a mental note of the situation, but move on to see what the other teams are doing, knowing that you will need to discuss this with the team and John after the completion of the activity.
It's me again. It's time to stop and discuss this exercise. Once you're completed, you may begin again. Remember, stop the video now. Stop the video now.
Try to first think about these questions on your own, and later discuss them with other leaders and friends. Why do you think bullying occurs? Who are the ones bullying? Are they the stronger and more powerful ones? What are the places where bullying is likely to take place? What situations would provoke bullying? How do you prevent bullying in your Scout activities? If you'd like a reminder of the definition of bullying, click here. Case 2. Rock climbing. Here is another example case study about a group outing. Advance through the scenes of the scenario by clicking on the numbers in order. Scene 1. Your Scout unit is involved in a rock climbing activity together with some other Scout units. As a Scouter, you are standing there helping the climbing instructor. This is a very popular activity, and there is a line of Scouts waiting for their turn. Many of them are standing around watching. Some are taking an active role in supporting and encouraging the ones climbing. That's good. You can make it a bit further. But sometimes the comments are not very positive. Scene 2. It is Tanya, a girl in your unit, who is climbing the wall. This is her first time climbing, and she is quite nervous. One guy, Matthew, from another unit, who stands close by, says, in a voice high enough for Tanya to hear, "Hey, spread your legs. That's something you girls don't find difficult in other situations," and laughs loudly. Some of his friends join in and laugh too. Exercise. You wonder how you should handle the situation. Should you say anything? Should you do anything? Select the best response from the options to the right to continue. A. I do not do anything because I do not think Tanya heard the comment. B. I do not do anything because comments like this need not be taken seriously. C. I say something like, "Hey, that was a very inappropriate comment. We don't say things like that to each other." D. I think I ought to be saying something, but I don't know what.
It's me again. It's time to stop and discuss this exercise. Once you're completed, you may begin again. Remember, stop the video now. Stop the video now.
Promoting healthy relationships to prevent abuse. Relationships are critical for positive child and youth development. But what does a healthy relationship look like, sound like, and feel like? Respect is at the foundations of healthy relationships. When dealing with youth, it is important to consider what respecting a child means and what it looks like. To do this, we must consider the child's developmental stage and capacity. Errors in judgment and practice can be good opportunities for learning. We must approach youth with openness, understanding, and curiosity. Healthy development for children depends on healthy relationships within the family, at school, with peers, in the community, and also within your scouting group. Therefore, developing the capacity for healthy relationships is essential. In fact, relationship problems affect children's development and have a negative long-term impact on families, communities, and society. Relationship problems can also transfer to the next generation, as the next generation learns relationship skills and model the behaviors and attitudes they see used by their mentors. Promoting healthy relationships to prevent abuse. This chart shows various characteristics of a healthy relationship, no matter what age you are. Helping children and youth learn how to stand up against bullying in a positive, respectful way is critical. It's important for children to understand the difference between reporting and tattling. Reporting is trying to get someone out of trouble, and tattling is trying to get someone into trouble. We can empower children to be part of the solution by teaching them what they can do. Respect. Demonstrating that all people of all ages have intrinsic dignity and human rights. Appreciating differences. Independence. Being able to have time with yourself. Being able to spend time with friends and family. Having interests and activities that you do on your own. Communication. Being able to talk and listen to one another. Talking about problems and working on them together. Trust. Caring for one another. Following through on promises. Believing in one another. Safety. No physical or emotional abuse. Feeling comfortable to talk about your thoughts and feelings. Fun. Having some of the same interests. Enjoying time you spend together. Sharing affection and admiration for each other. Peers can be part of the solution. Peers can take action by walking away and then reporting the incident, reaching out to help the victimized person, respectfully and assertively telling the person who is bullying to stop. Researchers have found that almost half the time, peer interveners use aggressive strategies. For example, an intervener might say, "Cut it out, you jerk," to the person bullying, or the intervener may physically attack the child who is bullying. So while the intention is good, the strategy puts the intervener at risk for retaliation by the child who is bullying or for getting into trouble with an adult, and perpetuates the use of aggression within the peer group. Tell children, youth, you want to hear about the bullying. Reporting, trying to get someone out of trouble. Tattling, trying to get someone into trouble. The other half of the time, peers used what we would call pro-social or appropriate strategies. They reached out to the victim, for example saying, "Let's go play over there." Or they communicated respectfully yet assertively and firmly told the person bullying to stop. For example, "You are bullying him and it isn't fair." Or, "If you don't stop, I am going to report you." Whether or not the intervener chose an aggressive or an assertive strategy, most of the time, the bullying stopped instantly. This clearly showed us that peers play a pivotal role in determining the course of bullying. When a peer intervenes to stop the bullying, sometimes with verbally or physically aggressive strategies, sometimes with assertive but respectful strategies. In majority of episodes, bullying stopped within 10 seconds. Creating a positive social climate. 5 building blocks. The social climate is the sum of relationships. 1. Team build early. First, incorporate team building activities early in the development of the group. Add team building exercises for the whole group and specific skills for patrols. This will foster feelings of group belonging by finding commonalities between children and youth. 2. Reward inclusiveness and empathy. Second, work to develop and reward inclusiveness and empathy. Teach realistic expectations for friendship and avoid talking about or highlighting best friendships, which tend to be exclusive and for which children have unrealistic expectations for exclusivity and intimacy. E.g., many children will share computer passwords with their best friend, not realizing that this is the type of information even a best friend shouldn't be privy to. 3. Supportive climate. Third, establish a positive, supportive climate of equality and respect. Encourage larger, looser friendship groups by creating opportunities to interact with many different children. Supportive climates tend to move away from highly competitive climates. Competition is not group-oriented and inclusive. 4. Rights and responsibilities. Fourth, set clear expectations for members' rights and responsibilities. Establish a group sense of responsibility and create a circle of caring. This can even be done by the children themselves. For example, have the children outline the rights and responsibilities for their group and have them hold themselves and each other accountable to those guidelines. 5. Using power positively. Fifth, empower children by encouraging them to use their power in a collaborative way. Healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are the key to preventing abuse. It's everyone's job. We are all part of the volunteer support process. In-person support and mentoring is a critical element of our volunteer support strategy. Many volunteers join having very little knowledge about scouting and need to feel supported so that they can find their scouting legs. These scouters need to have someone, like you, who will listen to them, provide feedback, and answer their questions. This support is required at all levels of Scouts Canada. Working together, we provide an environment in which youth develop into Canada's next community leaders, innovators, and volunteers. Review. You are almost at the end of this session. Question 1. Is the following statement true or false? Sexual abuse is a sexual act that the person does not understand or is forced into.
I'm back again. Time to answer true or false. When you've done so, continue the video.
Select the best response from the option. Question 2. Is the following statement true or false? Bullying is when intentionally negative actions or behavior towards another person is repeated over a period of time. Select the best response from the options below to continue.
I'm back again. Time to answer true or false. When you've done so, continue the video.
Question 3. Is the following statement true or false? Emotional abuse is through actions, words, and behavior that harm a young person's emotional state and self-esteem. Select the best response from the options below to continue.
I'm back again. Time to answer true or false. When you've done so, continue the video.
Question 4. Complete the following sentence. When you force a child to do activities that are negative for the health, education, or development of the child, it is called. Select the best response from the options below to continue. A. Sexual abuse. B. Exploitation. C. Neglect.
I'm back again. Time to answer true or false. When you've done so, continue the video.
Question 5. Is the following statement true or false? Neglect describes the failure to provide a young person with things that are essential to his or her health. Select the best response from the options below to continue.
I'm back again. Time to answer true or false. When you've done so, continue the video.
Review complete. Great work. Wrap up. You should now have a better understanding of your role in the planning, delivery, and assessment of safety. Scouts Canada believes strongly in shared leadership and teamwork. Scouts Canada's youth members are counting on you to keep them safe. This is a huge responsibility. On behalf of the millions of youth who have benefited from Scouting over the years, Scouts Canada would like to thank you for taking on this responsibility. And remember, with great responsibility comes great opportunity. Collectively, we positively affect the lives of thousands of young Canadians every year. Together, we can make Canada a better place for years to come. It all starts with a safe and positive environment for the youth who have been entrusted in our care. Thank you for your commitment and for all of your efforts in living the Scouts' culture of child and youth safety. We hope you have enjoyed this session and feel more comfortable with the topic at hand.
Now that we've completed the Scouts Canada training, we wanted to review one more thing with you, and that's our 1+1 policy. In a few seconds, that policy is going to pop up on the screen. I'd like you to pause it. We can then review it as a group. Once you reviewed it, have an idea of what it means, then continue. Thanks.